There we go. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Find a space, chill out, kick back, relax. We are back with a pre show stream today. Yes, I will be back live on the podcast today with Nano Girl. So hope you're all looking forward to that one. I know Nano Girl is locked and loaded. She is ready to go. And I had a glimpse of some of the slides that Nano Girl has put together today. And in true synchronistic fashion, without us even talking to one another, I had gone and dug up a load of stuff on the return of the Curse of Skinwalker Ranch, which comes back to TV screens in the US later on today, I believe. And if you all remember when this season one was on of that show on History Channel, I was somebody that was very, very enthused by what it had to offer. And for me, Skinwalker Ranch, it's one of the most legitimate woo-filled areas that I have ever come across. So we're going to get into a little bit of that today to warm us up. Ready for Nano Girl coming on. She'll give us her thoughts on that and so much more. But before we get going anywhere in here, I will head on over to the chat room. Yes, we've got Carol. Good to see you. Wen Wilson. Wen indeed. Indeed. Bet Iring. We have got Jules. Good to see you, Jules. We have got Dubs Island, and I'm reading a book about another portal-worthy ranch called Stardust Ranch. You know what, Dub? That's a new name on me. Your name, I mean. But I heard about Stardust Ranch, maybe for the first time ever, and I believe it was Stardust Ranch. Now, I may be wrong, but is this the property or a property that's very close to Skinwalker? I'll need to try and remember who it was that was telling me about that. It might have been Lon Strickler, possibly. But we have also got in the chat room, we got Jules again, just because I seen your name first there, Jules. We have got John, good to see you. Who else we got? Faith. Faith is ready to go. And as I said in the chat room, that makes one of us because I'm never ready for anything. We've also got our good friend, Rick. Good to see you, buddy. St. Marionette. Today, first and foremost, number one in the chat room. Big shout out. What? Big round of applause. Our good friend ZX81, before I forget. We've got Carol in the chat room. Cinemonk, Jocelyn, Lewis, good to see you. Jose Ramon Francis, the Wookie. And if I have missed you, it's only because you've come in late, maybe. Carol, not sure if I got you. But with that said, we've got Geraldine as well. I see Geraldine kicking about in there. So yes, like I say, it's going to be nice and chill today. We're going to take it nice and easy. Nice, easy, ozy day. And I want to thank you all for affording me the time to take a little day off yesterday. I say it like, how do I put that? Almost as if it's a bad thing that I take a day off. Because I rarely take a day off. I even took a day off from TFR yesterday. Enjoyed a nice bit of TV time, chilling out with Anne last night. We got all caught up with Oak Island. No spoilers, but how good is that getting this season? And of course, Oak Island, it's on the same channel as The Curse of Skinwalker. And that's where we're going today. And like I say, it's one of the places on the planet where if I had to make a bucket list of spooky locations, woo wonders of the world. I think that should be a tour, right? You can go on Kev's wonderful woo wonders of the world tour. Skinwalker Ranch is going to be up there. It's almost got absolutely everything that anyone that's interested in the paranormal, the supernatural, high strangeness, UFOs, cryptids, you name it. It's pretty much, there's a good chance you're going to get it. Skinwalker. Now, why should that be? Why could and should one location be so prone to experience a whole plethora of high strangeness? Today we're going to take a look at portals because I do believe that has a very large part to play with everything that's experienced at Skinwalker. And what is a portal? Do we even have the right language to use when we're talking about places like the Skinwalker? So lots to get into. I've listened to Brandon Fugel's latest interview on Coast to Coast. He's the most recent owner of Skinwalker Ranch, and he's somebody that when he bought the place, get this, he actually turned up there thinking, I bet you there's a logical scientific explanation to 90% of what is going on at Skinwalker Ranch. Let me tell you, it took 6 months for his mind to be changed, and when it was changed, well, now we've got somebody who is, in his own words, opening up the biggest scientific experiment in the world to the world, with the cameras being there, and of course all of this being filmed for The Curse of Skinwalker. I'm sure most of you will have seen season 1. If not, you probably got fed up with me talking about it. There's so much you can't really hit all the bullet points here in a quick kind of pre-show video. But some of the things that really stood out for me was one of the team being Dr. Travis Taylor. Now, Travis Taylor's a very interesting character. I first came across him on a TV show about Nikola Tesla, and they were trying to recreate what Tesla technology was doing way back in the day when Nikola Tesla was playing about with wireless technology and all that good stuff. Now, Travis Taylor, or Dr. Travis Taylor, PhD, at Skinwalker, he certainly was very, very skeptical. In fact, he thought there would be a very logical, perhaps military or alphabet agency reasons or explanations to some of the phenomena that was being experienced. Certainly wasn't open to the idea that what we're dealing with here is something supernatural, paranormal, UFO, cryptid in nature. And again, it didn't take him very long to have his mind changed as well. There's another guy on the show, Tom, his name is. And on that, it showed you one of the episodes, and he had a big swelling on the back of his head. And this occurred after they had seen some lights up on the mesa. So, listen, there's lots we could choose from. They sent a rocket up at one point with equipment to try and read what was above the ranch. All the electronics went out. We're going to talk about that as today goes on. That's something that a lot of people experience when they go to Skinwalker. Electronics going psh. But we've got lots to get into, okay? Lots to get into. We've got lots to look at. And of course, we've got lots to get from all of you as well, because as with anything else when it comes to the Kev Baker Show, I claim to know absolutely nothing. And my only hope is to give you the information I provide, and you decide. And we'll come and see what you think is some of the stuff that we're talking about, some of the phenomena that's experienced. That for me, one of the strangest woo hotspots in the world. So let's grab the coffee, let's take it easy, and we're about to dive down the curse of... I was almost about to say Oak Island there, but Skinwalker Ranch. Skinwalker. Need to remember that. I'm not going to give anything away about Oak Island, I promise, folks. I promise I won't. Okay then, so before we get going, tonight Nano Girl is going to be on the show, like I was telling you all. And we've got a one-stop shop for all things Nano Girl now. Here's the latest information you need for tonight. I'm going to drop this in the chat room. There you go. Jenny's just come in. Wanda. Rose, I see Rose. Becky as well. Good to see you all. So then, we're up to about 50-odd people. Let's get down this rabbit hole. Now, like I was saying, I listened to this interview right here with George Knapp on Coast to Coast and Brandon Fugel. Now, Brandon Fugel, like I was saying, is the owner of Skinwalker Ranch, and he bought it off Bigelow, Robert Bigelow, the guy behind Bigelow Aerospace and the guy behind NIDS. And that was the scientific team that he set up purposely to go and investigate the property. Now, his findings, the discoveries of the NIDS team, some of it was made public, but not all of it. And Bigelow really doesn't talk much about his time there, at least not publicly. Brandon Fugel, on the other hand, is very public in his ownership. Like I say, he's welcomed in the TV cameras. And for me, there's an extra layer of significance to this TV show. I may be wrong, but I do think it actually plays in to the soft, controlled, deliberate release of information that's happening from the Pentagon at this time when it comes to the world of UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomenon. Myself and Ben Emlyn Jones, we talk about disclosure so much of the time. And there's a part of me, quite a big part of me, that's inclined to think that this TV show, with what we've seen in season 1 and what potentially awaits in season 2, i.e., potentially a communication with whatever it is that is up, on, or below the property, their claim at the end of season 1, ladies and gents, not mine. But I feel it does play into this glut of information that seems to be coming our way on all of the X-File type stuff that's out there. Now, I'm not here today to get into why we're getting told all of this now, or what may be the motives. For me, there's enough going on at Skinwalker where we can just kind of kick back, chillax, and take a look at some of that stuff. But from this interview, some of the key points I kind of jotted down from it was Brandon Fugel's somebody that's like really enthusiastic when it comes to sci-fi, science, and dare I call it woo. That's one thing that really came across in the interview. It's only half an hour long. I urge all of you to check it out. Like I mentioned earlier, when he bought the property, yes, he was very aware of some of the lore, some of the rumors, some of the stories that surrounds the place. But like I say, when he turned up there, he thought it was probably 90% chance, something logical. Some kind of scientific explanation could account for the majority or 90% of what's going on there. But his mind was changed rapidly when he himself witnessed something above the property. Now, he also talks about, and I find this really, really interesting and really key, is the instances where electronics and some of the teams that are there doing measurements, doing experiments, they experience either a draining of power on their equipment, batteries, stuff like that, or just things will go wrong inexplicably. The electromagnetic phenomena as well, it's something that's not predictable. It's not something that's rhythmic. It doesn't just come at a certain time of day. You can't predict when these things are going to happen. Very sporadic in nature. Now, that's quite interesting in itself because that lends, in my mind, credence to the fact that this isn't something natural going on. This isn't something in nature that's producing these effects or some of these effects. Now, let's see what else it says here. Interestingly as well, he says a lot of people contact him from many different walks of life. And we talk on the show as well a lot about how, depending on your own belief system and depending on the world that you grew up in, i.e. your environment, what you've learned, what you believe, what books you believe in, your religion, all that kind of stuff, that kind of plays a big part in how people interpret different phenomena, right? I mean, if you're into science and UFOs, you're likely to maybe experience something you would describe as an alien UFO encounter, whereas somebody that's maybe a more religious type mindset would call exactly the same thing something angelic or demonic in the sky. And Brandon Fugel says, whether it's UFOs, whether it's angels and demons, whether it's something interdimensional in nature, he says he thinks it's all of the above. Now make that what you will. So I highly recommend you check out this interview. There's a lot more of that, and there's another interview as well where it's just him and the cast members of the upcoming series. I haven't watched all of this yet, but I'll drop a link in the description in the chat room as well right now for people to check out. But don't go and check it out just yet. Don't go and check it out yet. That means you'll be leaving me. Now, I get it. These guys are probably far more interesting than anything I've got to say. But let's just head on over to the History's website. I've got a quick link here to look at. It says the bizarre history of Skinwalker Ranch. So it says if you asked a random person to name the eeriest place on Earth, Buckingham Palace. Did I say that? Places synonymous with unexplained X-File-esque phenomena. The Bermuda Triangle. Now, Bermuda Triangle, there's somewhere where people have reported that compasses go a bit off, right? Electronics go a bit skew with when planes or ships in the area some kind of magnetic anomaly. I think we could probably narrow it down to that place being synonymous with magnetic anomalies. Area 51. Do we know if people have ever reported that things go a bit haywire near there? Now, the reason I'm asking is we're going to have to try and narrow down maybe what this is. Skinwalker, if it is a portal, are there other portals on the planet? I think there are. I think if we start to look for some of the telltale signs, I think we might be able to start plotting them out. And wouldn't it be interesting if we found out there was almost like a geometric shape or a grid to these portals? You know, I think some of these ancient people that were around a long, long time ago, being ancient people, I think they were far more aware of this type of science than we are. As clever as we are, we really don't have a handle on the true nature of reality, right? And how much else may just be out there, just out of our vision, just out of that tiny little slither of the light spectrum that we see. So anywho, let me get back to this. But despite their infamy, they've got nothing on Skinwalker Ranch, a place so weird that it's flummoxed. There's a word that isn't used enough, eh? Flummoxed. That should be a word that's used in association with flooding the flux capacitor. But when you get too much dilithium in it, it's flummoxed. Thanks, so now. Scientific experts and terrified even the most cynical onlookers. Good example of what Skinwalker does. My boy's absolutely enthralled by it. And usually 9 times out of 10, or 99 times out of 100, he'll say, Dad, you're mad. The stuff you watch is crazy. But Skinwalker, absolutely intrigued. You see, it's woo for all the family, ladies and gents, it is. The massive ranch sprawls over 500 acres of northern Utah in a region known as the Uinta Basin. Now, the whole area has, since the days of the early Spanish missionaries, that's one word for them, swirled with rumours of strange goings-ons. Now, in the words of journalist George Knapp, and that's who interviews Brandon on Coast to Coast, it's, quote, been the site of simply unbelievable paranormal activity. UFOs, Sasquatch, bad things happening to cattle, psychic manifestations, you name it. Residents here have seen it. Now, the epicenter of all of this is Skinwalker Ranch, which first came to national attention in the mid-90s when the Sherman family, who had purchased the ranch, in 1994, shared their incredible stories with the media. So it says one day, shortly after settling into their dream country homestead, Terry and Gwen Sherman were startled by the sight of a fearsome animal, perhaps a wolf or a coyote. Now it says stalking towards their livestock pen. It wanted to grab a calf in its jaws, and Terry fired at it with a handgun and a rifle. Now, despite being hit, the creature didn't seem hurt and simply wandered away into the bushes. Its foul stench, like rotting flesh, stayed with the Shermans. And if you actually, the whole story, they follow the entity, and it crossed over a stretch of water. We would call it a burn here, probably a stream, other places in the world. But on the other side, this is where it gets weird. The footprints that had led them there just disappeared. And I was actually watching a show last night. It was Ancient Aliens. I'm laughing because ZX recommended it over in Disco today. But it was talking about this, and when they actually spoke to people, when they took the description of what the Shermans had seen, they went and they put together, like, almost, here you get the police, they'll put together a lineup of people, photographs, so you can say, yeah, it looks like him. But what they've done was they got all these various different types of wolf, and they put them all together, and the Shermans picked one out. But there's only one problem here, because they picked out the dire wolf. And the problem being that hasn't been around for a hell of a long time. Like a heck of a long time. So make of that what you will. But it says in the weeks and months that followed, visitors to the ranch reported seeing unidentifiable beasts moving in the woods and letting out roars. Roar! Probably a lot scarier than that, admittedly. And then there were lights hovering and zipping about in the sky, including large orange circles and blue spheres. that flew around as if directed by unseen forces. Now, most disturbingly, animals on the ranch began to pass away in grotesque ways. Some of their dogs were seemingly incinerated in the night. Whoa! It's like almost like animal spontaneous combustion. And I'm not making light of it because that's what it sounds like, right? While cows were found dismembered or cored out with the kind of surgical precision that ruled out attacks by coyotes or coyotes, depending on how you want to pronounce it. A newspaper article about the Shermans' terrifying experience attracted the notice of an unlikely party, billionaire property magnate Robert Bigelow. Now, we discussed him when I was kind of building up to this. As well as being a hard headed businessman, he had a passion for space travel and the paranormal, found in the National Institute for Discovery Science, and that's NIDS, which was effectively his own personal X Files team. Fascinated by the history of the region, Bigelow bought the ranch. It says the Gorman Ranch presented a unique opportunity to study a rich tapestry of strange stuff. It was as if someone ordered up the weirdness pizza with everything on it, recounted journalist George Knapp, who visited the ranch when Bigelow and Nids had settled in. Now, the team set up monitoring equipment, observations, round the clock surveillance, blah de blah. Says activity triggered conspiracy theories among UFO watchers, leading Bigelow to give an interview denying he was in cahoots with the CIA or that he had prior contact with aliens in Utah. Now, season 1 of the Curse of Skinwalker Ranch was pretty interesting because towards the end of that, let's just say they had some surveillance going on in the form of a helicopter. Now, it wasn't the classic black helicopter situation, but this was an unmarked helicopter. It didn't have, and it doesn't actually require, helicopters don't need to have a transponder, but they weren't able to track where this came from or where it went to. And the next episode on from that, Travis Taylor, the guy that's worked with the spooks, he's currently working with NASA and obviously on Skinwalker Ranch right now. He came onto the show and he said, well, listen, that was the government. And he had been talking to some of his contacts in the world of spookery, espionage, and X-File type cases. And they'd said, yeah, that was us. We're just kind of keeping an eye on what was going on. Now, it led me to think that we might never see a season 2. But we're going to. And we can't just be naive and think that there isn't any kind of alphabet agency input here. I don't want to sound like I'm talking down on the show because I really love it, but I have to kind of keep an open mind because, like I said earlier, we didn't really hear too much about what Bigelow found. And I said it when season 1 was on, and that was, the plethora of stuff going on. It was really, really seductive and it really got you hooked in. And it's going to be interesting to see what comes in season 2. But is it a case of we're just being shown what they already kind of know about the place? Things that they've discovered in the past, things that are now declassified, because we're getting a lot of declassified information coming our way. And we've got to remember that in the end of the day, these shows are entertainment shows. And there is a need for ratings. So the reason I say this is not because I think they make stuff up, but I'm just wondering if in amongst things in there, we're going to be showing stuff that maybe Bigelow himself and the NIDS team discovered. And it's almost disclosing some of the science, some of the stuff around there. Again, it's not a criticism, it's just an observation. Me personally, I can't wait to get back into this TV show. So it's not like I'm being talking bad about it, but we have to think about these things. You have to keep it in mind. So going back to here, it says what's really going on. The sheer number of incidents around Skinwalker, the number of different eyewitnesses, the general reputation of this part of Utah has led many to make more seriously or take this case more seriously than other UFO hotspots. Now, there's also the connection to the Native American folklore to consider, or as our good friend Nacy says, the Paleo-American folklore. And that is, of course, that there was a curse put on the land. And it had me wondering, I've wrote it down here. I wonder if, and I believe it was the Navajo that actually conjured up the skinwalker. And we're going to look at the history and what the skinwalker and all that is in a moment too. But if we're dealing with a portal where things can come and go, my question I was asking myself was, did the Paleo-Americans, did they open the portal? Or was there already a portal there that they knew to pre-exist? And that's why it was easier for them then to conjure something up. It's just a thought. Okay, what came first? The portal or the skinwalker? That's quite good, right? So the very name Skinwalker Ranch alludes to one of the most feared entities in Navajo culture and history. Skinwalkers are reputed to be malevolent witches who mastered the ability of changing into different creatures. Like a bona fide shapeshifter, ladies and gentlemen. So the hulking, wolf-like beast confronted by the Shermans, which seemed to resemble the large, long-extinct dire wolf that used to prowl North America, as well as other creatures seen by NIDS observers, have been linked to legends of skinwalkers in the region. Now, intriguingly, there is a long-standing local legend linking the presence of skinwalkers to hostile relations between two Native American peoples, the Navajo and the Utes. Now, in the words of historian Sondra Jones, author of Being and Becoming Ute, quote, the Navajo were more aggressive people. They took slaves and had Ute slaves, and according to local legend, a territorial dispute led the Navajo to curse the land and unleash skinwalkers there. So the historical basis for such legends are hazy. Speaking to a Vice reporter looking into the rumours, Betsy Chapoose, great name, eh? The cultural rights and protection director for the Ute tribe, acknowledged that the various oral tales may have evolved over the generations, but emphasised that she personally had never heard of any Navajo curse being placed on the land. Now, putting aside the explanations relating to indigenous lore, there has been speculation around possible alien activity and secret government experiments. I've always wondered, folks, I've always wondered if we, I'll bring it up on the map here. I've always wondered, and we talked about this when it was on back at the time, but whether or not there is the potential for some kind of underground facility in there. Something like that. But if I come back over here, in fact, I don't want that one. Could do. Give me 2 seconds, folks. In fact, let me shove on some music. Let me shove on some music for you right now. Then we'll come back in a moment. I'll get a quick drink of coffee and we'll get into more of this. Okay, there we go. We're back, folks. We're back, so we'll fly in here. Here we go. Let's see. Here we are, Skinwalker. Ta-da! There we go. So, here we are. Skinwalker Ranch. And when you look at the place, this is it here. I mean, you're talking about it being surrounded by this mesa here. And you got this obviously quite circular looking portion of land here. But do we think there could be some kind of underground facility in this area? Do we? I do wonder. I do wonder, folks. It's when they're up in these hills around this area here on the show. It's like somewhere that looks very much like this, that they find a little cave. And Travis Taylor, who I was telling you about earlier on, he's the gentleman that you see in the middle bottom down here. He actually started to experience a lot of dizziness, weirdness, and it's something that's been reported by people before. Almost sounds like there's something really electromagnetic in nature going on there. And that leads me to the questions I'm going to be not questions, but things for you to think about. This, what actually, when we talk about a portal, or as they described it last night on Ancient Aliens, like an interdimensional rift, I think that's a really cool way to describe it, because in the end of the day, we don't have the language, right? We really don't. We could call them micro wormholes, we can call them portals, but what does that translate to in our reality that we can maybe start to pick up on? Myself and Scott Lopez, we always laugh and roll our eyes how many times we read stories of high strangeness that talks about that mist, that fog, that almost statically charged feeling you get when you're going into one of these events where there's arguably some portal open to let something into our reality that usually isn't here, be it a cryptid. And I want you to think as well about all these other types of situations when we find electronics and video cameras and things failing. Ghost hunters experience this a lot, right? When they go into haunted properties. And if that's a similarity, then if you get this in a haunted property, you get the same things happening around Skinwalker Ranch. Are we starting to narrow down that this is some kind of scientific phenomena that's going on, i.e., this rip, this tear, this thinning of the veil between worlds? Pretty crazy, pretty crazy. But anyway, if we come over here, and this is some of the stuff that Nano Girl's going to really touch on in more detail tonight, I believe. But it says inside Skinwalker Ranch's UFO hotspot probed by the Pentagons, where cows are found inside out and the soil is radioactive. That's another thing that you see in season 1. There's a really strange episode where some people think this is wrong. They've got like cows on the property, and they've got now is it? I can't remember the name. They're like llamas. I can't. Alpacas. Thank you, Annie. Thank you. I've been trying to remember that name for hours. Now, the reason they've got the animals there is because in the past there's been activity, i.e., bad things happening to the cows, stuff like that. And in season 1, you see something happening to the alpacas. I think that's what she said. But there's another incident where a cow becomes distressed as well. And some of the readings that they're getting in and around the location in the field where the cow is, it's utterly bizarre. It's inexplicable. I mean, Travis Taylor, he's beside himself because as a scientist, you can see how this really troubles him because there's nothing that he can put it down to. Scientists love to be able to explain things. When they come across something that's inexplicable, i.e., the high strangeness, sometimes it's almost not fun to watch. Well, it is fun to watch their reaction. Yes, indeed. So what else have I got up here? I have got this here. Give me 2 seconds, folks. Now we're going to have to do some jiggery pokery here. But I'm a jigger. I'm a poker. That sounded so wrong. I did, Dan. I did. If I flip this back to front, let's see. Hopefully, and I've speeded it up a bit, but here is the trailer. Here's the trailer you've all been waiting for, folks. You've all been waiting for it. I know you have. Here you go.
Something here is crying out for help. Or is it giving us a warning?
The History Channel's #1 new series returns.
I think if we're going to get to the bottom of what's going on...
Okay, I'm going to have to... I'm not going to be able to play it that fast. That's ridiculous. I've already speeded it up by the sound of it. Here we go.
Something here is crying out for help. Or is it giving us a warning?
The History Channel's #1 new series returns.
I think if we're going to get to the bottom of what's going on, we're going to have to start digging.
The question is, are you willing to accept the risks?
The team will stop at nothing
Yeah!
to find the truth.
We need to keep exploring and experimenting until we find the answers. The electromagnetic spectrum is going crazy. We got something! We got something! Right there!
The History Channel original series, The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. New season Tuesday, May 4th at 10. Right here on the History Channel.
There you go, folks. So hopefully we won't get cracked for that one. But that said, the latest thing, that's the newest promo for the show that starts tonight over in the US. Let me see what I've got here. We'll take a little look at this here. It comes from Wiki, but it's just general kind of stuff. But paranormal reputation. So it talks about the ranch located in the Uintah County, bordering the Indian Reservation, was popularly dubbed the UFO Ranch due to, there we go, due to its ostensible 50-year history of odd events said to have taken place there. So 50 years people have been experiencing weirdness. We can go back, obviously, to the stories of the Paleo-Americans that take us way back further in time. But again, I have to ask myself, is there some kind of military location underground? Now, Brandon Fugel swears there isn't. They all swear there isn't. But you wouldn't be able to tell us if there was anyway, right? They wouldn't. Because it would be classified, obviously. So, again, I keep it in mind. I do keep it in mind. And Brandon's even asked about that in this interview here. He says, yes, he thinks about that, but it's basically, nah, that's not what's going on. Who knows? So it says, according to Keller and Knapp, they saw or investigated evidence of close to 100 incidents that include vanishing and mutilated cattle, sightings of unidentified flying objects or orbs, large animals with piercing red eyes that they say were unscathed when struck by bullets, and invisible objects emitting destructive magnetic fields. Now, among those involved were the retired U.S. Army Colonel John B. Alexander, who characterized the NIDS effort as an attempt to get hard data using a standard scientific approach. However, the investigators admitted the difficulty obtaining evidence consisted with scientific publication. You see, they're taking the standard scientific approach to try and measure extraordinary phenomena. I think we need to be thinking outside the box, and I don't think the standard model per se is very much finely tuned to the detection of portals opening in this reality from other realities. I don't know, I'm just saying. So it says the cattle thing has been going on, and it's been part of the folklore of the surrounding area for decades. When Robert Bigelow purchased the ranch for $200,000 large, wow. This was reportedly the result of having been convinced by the stories of the bad things that happened to cows, that included strange tales of strange lights and unusual impressions made in the grass and soil told by the family of the former ranch owner Terry Sherman. In 1996, skeptic James Randi awarded Bigelow a Pegasus Award for funding the purchase of the ranch and for supporting John E. Max and Bud Hopkins' investigations. Randi called the effort a useless study of supernatural, paranormal, or the occult. Skeptics sometimes piss me off. It's all right to be skeptical, but not to the point where you just dismiss everything. And I know in recent times I've become a whole lot more skeptical, but only because you have to temper everything with a bit of logic. It's very easy just to grease yourself up and lube yourself up and go down the rabbit hole like a human torpedo, never touching the sides or taking the time to look at the scenery along the way. And before you know, you boom, splatting last thing to go through your mind is your arsehole as you just explode at the bottom of the rabbit hole, right? So you got to have a bit of skepticism. You got to have a bit of logic, but not to the point where you just stick your fingers in your ears and your thumb up your bum and your mind in neutral and you go, na, 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 na. You know, see what I'm saying? So listen, I'm going to get a drink of coffee, but I'm wanting to, you people out there, first of all, to think about other areas in the world. I mentioned the Bermuda Triangle, and one thing I did take a look at today, just quickly I took a look at it, was I thought, well, if there's something going on Skinwalker, what's the antipodal position on the globe? And antipodal is if you stuck a skewer through the world and you go through the center of the planet, you stick it in at Skinwalker, you go through the center of the planet, where does it come out? I was wondering if it came out anywhere near the South Atlantic anomaly. It doesn't. Well, not quite. So here's Utah here. Here's Skinwalker. Stuck my head in the ground, and you'll find that it comes out here. Now, the South Atlantic anomaly is actually on the other side of Africa. Now, I could really, really stretch it and say, right at the very border of that there. Now, we're back to front. I get that. I need to turn this back to front. Bear with me. I just remembered. There we go. There we go. There we go. So I want your thoughts on other places around the world where we experience these potential portals. Thinking of maybe magnetic compasses going mad, equipment being drained. What do you think we should be looking for if we're out there hunting, literally, for portals? How are we going to find them? What do they look like? What do they do? And I want to come to all of you, so I'll be back in a minute for your thoughts. Yes, indeed. Donnie says it sounds like we're feeding it. Funny you should say that, Donnie. That's something that comes up on season 1 is that sometimes the phenomena almost appears to react to new people when they turn up there. Crazy, right? Crazy. But you're not far off, dude. You're not far off. Ironically, I think you're looking at one of the places I would put on my list as a portal active area. Loch Ness, ladies and gents. Look at it. You can see the upside down. John says we build monuments in these places. I absolutely agree that many times our ancestors have done that, John. Totally agree with you, dude. John, I don't think the forest does that. I think that's where they go to do that. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Billy Joe. How you doing, my friend? How are you doing? Good to see you. It's been one of our better ones here today, I must admit, Billy. It's because I took a little day off yesterday, a little bit of family time. Recharged, rejuvenated. Well, I don't look any younger right enough, but I am raring to go. Now, we had Cinemonks in Stall as a portal for sure. Now, that is Stull, I think you're thinking of. Scotty Lopez's neighbouring village, where they call it one of the 7 gates to hell. Now, the Pope famously refused to fly over Stull because of the said rumours that that is one of the natural gateways, one of the natural portals that we're talking about to hell. Now, does it play havoc with electronics above Stull? I'm not sure. Great call, though. Great call. We had Donny, our Australian brother, Yama, brother. He was shouting about Pine Gap. Anyone that hasn't looked into Pine Gap, even before you get to any woo or supernatural stuff, if you're a science kind of guy like me and you like looking into the whole kind of the surveillance state aspect of stuff, oh boy, let me tell you what a plethora of information you can get from Pine Gap, or can't get, because it's one of the most secretive damn places in the world. And then we open up the cosmic volumes of woo that is said to surround that place. It's a listening station shared by the Australians and the Americans, I believe. But I've also heard it rumoured, speculation, because I don't know, I've never been there, but rumoured to have many different levels underground as well. And I've even heard it being said, and this is in the furthest most parts of the conspirasphere where I used to dwell, that there could be some kind of transportation system there that takes you from Australia to America, blink, like a Stargate. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but it makes for damn fine woo. Doesn't it? Doesn't it? It really does. So, Polly was talking about the Mycelium Network. Dude, I'm telling you, I'm with you with the Mycelium stuff. Star Trek Discovery. That just takes that show to a different dimension. Yeah, it certainly does. Have to rewatch Billy, you have to. Usually, you know, I would tell people, if you've got anything better to do, don't worry about it. Don't bother wasting your time. But today I think it's been kind of well structured so far. We've still got more to look at here. It's almost, dare I say it, like we've done an actual show. Yeah, telling you, we're doing good. So, let's see what else there is. Now that's a story roll with it, Kev. Exactly, dude. We could go way deep on that one. Now, admittedly, I'd have to put big flashing neon lights, speculation, a lot of hearsay, a lot of anecdotal, second-hand, third-hand whistleblowers that you can't confirm or deny type information. But it's damn good. It's the kind of stuff you find over on Before It's News and Above Top Secret and Godlike Productions and all these good places, you know. Yes. See, look, Donnie's gone for full. We've gone from Pine Gap, the listening station, to DNA extraction in the beat of a heart. You see? That's why I love it around here. I'm telling you, it's awesome. Paul Stamets was a consultant on that episode too. Not only that, they call the science officer Stamets. Yes, indeed. They kind of pay a lot of homage to Stamets on there. So let's see what else I have got dug up here, because we haven't finished yet. So we're talking about portals, and it's one thing talking about portals. And, you know, in recent times, I've come to say, you know, do we know what we're even talking about when it comes to this kind of stuff? Because we're like skirting around sci-fi kind of topics here when you're talking portals and multi-dimensions and interdimensional lopers or interlopers even, or time travelers, all this good stuff, right? It's the kind of stuff that we usually associate with science fiction. But is there a grounding in science? Of course there is. Of course there is. So I've got a couple of stories pulled up here that we can take a look at. Opening strange portals in physics. Physicist Lisa Randall explores the mind-stretching realms that new experiments may soon expose. Now, we've talked about CERN. This woman here talks about CERN in her article, and they openly admit to the fact that they open miniature microscopic, quantum scale portals to other dimensions all the time when they're smashing these particles together. So, strike one from the world of science. Yes, portals definitely could be a thing. We come over here. Wormholes. We just talk about wormholes like they're things, but really are they? So it says, is this really possible? Well, wormholes actually happen all of the time. That's good for the possibility of time travel. Unfortunately, these wormholes are smaller than quantum particles, and they blink in and out of existence so quickly that not even light can travel through them. Now, if they could be enlarged and kept open, a time machine could be built. Ooh, wouldn't that be great? Where would you go if you had a time machine? There's something else to think about, right? Unfortunately, according to physicist Kip Thorne, this would require the use of something called negative energy. And negative energy is not known to be real, at least not yet, right? Interestingly, Benjamin Tippett and David Sang have written a paper on whether time travel via a TARDIS is actually possible. Their conclusion is encouraging. It seems that such a device is physically possible in our universe. Closed time-like curves, which wormholes can create, are possible in our universe, and they could theoretically allow one to travel in time. And the reason I bring up the whole time aspect was because when we were talking about the Shermans, when they owned the place, the most famous story, that big growling, hulking big thing of a wolf, right? And when they went to identify what type of canine this was, they picked out the dire wolf, and the dire wolf went extinct way back when. So do these portals not only take us to other dimensions, but other parts of time? And what did they say? Time's happening all at once, right? Past, present, future, all happening in the one instant. So can these portals then, like I say, open us up to parts of the past? And if that's the case, can we also have portals that shows parts of the future? I don't know, but we've got more. We've got more. Because again, that was strike two we had there. Strike three comes in the form of this. And it's not just some wacky, I'm not going to the wacky websites, folks. This is like what you would call authoritative science sources, right? Scientists are pretty sure they found a portal to the fifth dimension, 10th of February 2021. That last one we looked at was April the 8th, 2021. So we're not like, I'm not having to go back into 19 canteen to try and pick out these things to support what we're saying here. But this here, it's actually a bit of a crap article because they talk about how they found a way or a portal to the fifth dimension. What it really gets into is fermions. And if they can push a thermion through a portal into the fifth dimension and it decays, does that make up for dark energy, dark matter? And our universe is said to be mainly made up of this stuff that we don't even know what it is, right? Well, is that the other verses, the other dimensions, the other worlds, other time? I don't know. The other bubbles of existence that are out there. Is that what makes up the math? I don't know. Then we come over here. Viz.org, March the 9th, 2021. Microscopic wormholes are possible in theory. So science is catching up to the kind of talk that we often use in theoretical woology. Did I just say that? Yes, I'm the world's first theoretical woologist. Stick that in your pipe and smoke it. I'm going to wear that accolade, that title, that self-bestowed title. Well, I like that. The world's first theoretical woologist. In fact, I like that so much, we're going to have some music. We're going to think about that. Oh. And when would you go back to? Would you travel in time? What do you think of portals, folks? Are there portals? Have we got it all wrong? Is the high strangeness, the woo, the dire wolves, the cattle badness, and all of the alien probes, are they just made up in our own mind? What's going on, folks? What's going on? I'm asking you because I am the world's most preeminent leader in theoretical woology. Why? Because I'm the only one. Yep. ZX says dire wolf big, dire bear bigger. You know why they call them dire, right? Because you are in dire trouble if you see one. Dire trouble. Does that mean Mark Knopfler and his guitar are really, really, really big? ZX, I mean, they're in dire straits, right? Oh. Yeah, I'm not ever going to give up the day job as a crap streamer for being a crap comedian. Don't panic, folks. Now, Wanda says microwaves are portals in a sense. Now, the reason I've latched onto that, Wanda, is because when Skinwalker Season 1 was on, they detected high readings of microwaves on occasion. And once at the top of the mesa, and once when there was something really weird going on with one of the cattle. That's why I kind of picked up on that one there. So the microwaves, are they a symptom? Can we kind of use that as a way to detect when one of these anomalous type of openings, portals, wormholes, what language do we put on this, folks? I don't know, but the microwaves, definitely. Now, Jenny was quite paranoid because she thinks the government are grabbing people in the forests, and to which I say they can grab you anywhere. And they would like us to think it was Bigfoot and aliens. I blame people like me for blaming Bigfoot and aliens. I've never had anyone from the government tell me, it's the Bigfoot and the aliens. So I think we are the ones that constructed the Bigfoot and aliens. I think there's 110 different things that happen to people under missing 411. I really do. I don't think there's one answer fits all. We're talking about people going out into the wilderness. There's so many different things that could be happening there. Could there be woo attached? Maybe in some cases. Some of the circumstances look like there's a whole heap of woo, right? Trying to think of some of the 411 ones off my head. But that's led people to wonder if there's a supernatural thing going on. I think there could be a whole heap of things going on. Whole heap of things. But I don't personally think that there could be government agents hiding up in the trees ready to get you. But I don't know. There could be. Maybe they've got a machine that just drag you away. So what else have we got in here? Somebody mentioned the electron flood. Now, I'm not going to check that right now because I need to go and get Nano Girl in just a second. But I'm going to write it down because A, I've never heard of it, and B, it does sound like something I should really take a look at. But folks, we're almost out of time. And remember, or at least if I had, if you have a spare hour or a spare bit of time in your hands, I can't recommend more highly The Curse of Skinwalker Ranch Season 1. And now we're about to embark on Season 2. And I think it's 6 episodes in Season number 1, so it's really easy to binge it. But then you can get right into it. And like I say, the new season is starting later on tonight in the US. So I hope people tune into that and enjoy it. But I hope you'll be tuning in to the Kev Baker Show in just 21 minutes time with my good friend Nano Girl. We'll be getting into a bit of Skinwalker and a whole lot more as she's talking about re-emerging back into the world. Yes, indeed. All of that and a little bit more. I'll stay for another couple of minutes, though. Stay another couple of minutes, see what people are saying. Now, Marty says you'll have to forgive Kev. He doesn't know that all the junior Bigfoot males know indeed to grab themselves a beautiful human wife from the parks. How dare he not give Bigfoot credit? Now listen, if the Bigfoot works for the government, I'm open to it being government kind of Bigfoot goons. Definitely. That I'm into. Remember over in Siberia, not so long ago, we had a mayor over there. Siberia, mayor, Yeti, tourism, that should bring up. Here we go. This story here, quickly before we go, just a headline. Russia admits to faking Yeti sightings to attract tourists to Siberia. See, now Jenny, over there now I could go for it. It's almost like they're luring people into the forests. They're beckoning people into the forest now. How many don't come back? Have we ever looked into the Russian 411? Is there such a Russian thing as Russian 411 ski? Or 4 ski, 1 ski, 1 ski? Would it be that? Is it culturally inappropriate just to say ski at the end of something to make it sound Russian? Probably nowadays, right? Probably. But listen, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, if you do happen to go down to the forest, be careful because a disturbing amount of people go missing down there. Look, I'm laughing because we've had fun today. I've had fun today. I've enjoyed hanging out. It's a topic when it comes to Skinwalker that really, really, really I am very enthusiastic about because for me it's one of those locations that really has so many question marks over it. And it holds so much potential to answer so many of the things that we often come here to talk about and question. Ski is Polish, but it's all right. Over here, we use ski for Russia as well. Okay, Polly. So listen, Poland, Russia, look at the map. It's like, come on, dude, let me off, you know? Okay. Nah, no, that doesn't work for me. Nah. Still ski, definitely ski. Anywho, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I will bid you farewell, but I'll see you in 20 minutes or 18 minutes over at tfrlive.com, TalkStream Live, Paranormal Radio app, or over in the KBS Disco. Why? Because that's how we roll around here. So until next time, keep your mind open. Keep looking for the woo, but not to the point where your brain turns to black goo. And Jenny, you know I love you. I just think we give the government way too much credit. Way much more credit than they're due. And I don't like seeing them taking any of the limelight away from what could be right, proper, good woo. Much love to you as well, Polly and John, ZX, Jungle, Hip, Marty, Cine Monk, Donny. Who else we got kicking about in there? We got the Jungle Hip again, Jenny. Aliens can grab you anywhere too. I am from the Pacific Northwest. Whoa, that is definitely, Jenny, you are in, that's another region. That's a hot spot. That's definitely a hot spot. We've got John, I think I've done that. Wanda, Jenny again, Cine Monk. Lewis, good to see you, Lewis. Crystal Shaman, yes, indeed I am. The world's first theoretical woologist. Means I just sit around and dream up woo all day. Why does David Paulides not answer questions like, is the ground opening up somewhere along the trail? And what about those found with stuff missing from the trail when they're... Okay, I don't know. How would you prove that the ground is opened up and closed though? You'd need to find some evidence of that first. If not, you would never know, right? So look up the electric flood or the electron flood. I will do. Cassie. Who else am I seeing here? Jeff. Good to see you, Jeff. Sorry you're late, brother. Rewind. It's been a good one. Billy Joe. Good to see you again. Marty ZX. Folks, I am out of here. Keep your mind open. Keep looking for the woo, but not to the point where your brain turns to black goo. I'll be live in 13 minutes with Nano Girl.